Hello, this is our high school intro policy debate for spring 2025. On the AF is Shlok and Pranshu, and on the neg is Joshua and Shreyas. We're skipping the 1AC, and we're going to start with the 1NC for time purposes, but the 1AC is our normal ITC SEP's affirmative on the patent topic. Whenever you're ready, Joshua, you can begin.
Order will be 3 off, advantage 1, advantage 2. Time starts. Now, a bill to avert shutdown passes now, but bipartisanship is key. Grieve through 15 stakes high. Department of Government Efficiency, Trump's presidential authority fallout is particularly severe. Republicans taking the lead on funding controlled both chambers, 53 or 47 advantage, razor the majority to 18 to 215. We'll get the job done. We're not going to shut down. Figure out a path. Weak IP helps big tech, ensures backlash on any proposal that breaks a decade of IP gridlock. Gupta 21. Appeal to Congress before reliance on IP rights, where the big tech firms' knowledge base and individuals invest in developing ideas and need to monetize them. Large and vertically integrated films do have the means to protect their ideas, while small inventors do not. Whichever company first has an idea, manufacturers gain an incumbent position. Big tech hates stronger IP, they'll retaliate with lobbying tactics. Barton 21. Weak IP environments are hostile for large markets. Most striking examples are found in biotech and semiconductor industries. Firms expect policy preferences favoring weaker IP rights. Larger tech firms and most vigorous supporters of AIA. Expanded opportunities for third parties to contest the validity of patents, not accidental, as these same firms have been among active petitioners. Shutdown collapses military readiness, McCusker 23. Reputational implications, shutdown feeds into the narrative is not signals for strength, allowing China and Russia to capitalize their divisions, engagements, attention diverted from priorities. Weapon systems are delayed, training is missed, costs are incurred, these reach military competitiveness, damaging America's reputation, security, and economy. Military readiness collapses existential. Beckley 17. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, military unreadiness prompts aggressive strength, solidifying unipolar world fosters stability, reducing wars threats loom. Ukraine and Taiwan involving nuclear SCS remains hotly contested. U.S. must contain threats, collapse sparking resource conflicts, cooperation on a nuclear non-proliferation, climate change, pandemics, immediate danger. U.S. convince itself adversaries at last capacity. Key is strength and stand up to sustain investments in military strength. Next off. The United States federal government ought to enter into prior good faith and binding negotiated rulemaking over, including advocacy over whether the U.S. International Trade Commission should rule its remedies are not against public interest just because parties negotiate in good faith over a standard essential patent encumbered with fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory terms. The counterplan solves current 19 negotiated rulemaking or RegNeg offers the most influential rulemaking reform ever devised. A survey of contemporary rulemaking found it to be fundamentally adversarial. Info discorded, comment for a lawsuit, rules delay, quality poor, implementation difficult, negotiations parties participate directly and immediately in the decision. Parties agree on consensus and accept result. Freer flow of info leads to higher quality result in less time. Rulemaking reverts conventional parties because stakeholders will not litigate perceived legitimacy. Speed implementation saves money on enforcement because participants comply voluntarily enacted legislation that endorse most rigorous studies sponsored by ACU's rules RegNeg compared with equivalent rules using conventional learned efficiency, cost, compliance, legality, quality, and net benefits experience. Negotiated rulemaking higher. Most compelling evidence to date negotiated rulemaking will have a limited role at best. Government AI regulations were coming, but Loper decision terminates them. The court scuttles the regulatory strategy Congress used for 40 years as the U.S. government begins to get its head around AI. Chevron's demands means that any government effort to set guardrails around AI will be harder to pass and enforce. Orgs that support stricter tech regs look for innovations in collective action, and alts for counterplan revolutionizes federal rulemaking and counterplan revolutionizes federal rulemaking on overcoming Loper. Chevron negotiated rulemaking importance grows significantly, and you have a process that says consensus likelihood withstanding litigation a lot stronger. It shows process other than agency interim. If they don't have consensus, most likely someone challenging it's no. Going to lead to a whole new rethinking of how you approach negotiated rulemaking. Cut the cart there. Unregulated AI causes S-words to outweigh extinction. Al has 19. S-words are astronomical scale. X-words should be addressed for X-words. Reducing extinction does not affect quality of the future. AI safety designs to be utopia, suffering astronomical. Uncontrolled AI transforms galactic resources into optimized structures, worker bots, space college cache, suffering for even the slightest benefit. Cut the cart there. Next off, the affirmative expansion of Intellectual property rights sustains the continued negation of environmental rights by treating nature as an instrument for human utility. This legitimizes the expansion of violent anthropocentrism. IP regimes have failed to focus on protecting the planet because rely too heavily on econ efficiency and acknowledge that the intrinsic moral value of non-human nature should be valued. The entire legal system's anthropocentric needs of humans are always driving force of activities. Non-human entities possess only instrumental value and are commodity for human needs. Animals cannot hold rights because they're not legal persons. Cut the card there. Anthropocentrism outweighs and is the root cause of oppression, genocide, and war. Best 7. Annibals' Gamoid theory, oppression of humans, first domination of groundwork for patriarchy, slavery, warfare, genocide, and others. Humiliation, human liberation, implausible, disconnected from animal liberation. Cut the card there. The alt is ecocentric ethics. Row 3. When only people matter, ethical concerns are limited to humanity. The weakness of ethics by extension is the starting point. The person gets the most attention, while its outers reaches get the least. Ethical plays out before it reaches non-human realities. This is evident in left-leaning platforms, and their concerns are greenwashed on issues that absorb their liberal interest in liberty of communality. On case. 1. Multilateral is outdated, bogged down, and too complex. Fairy 18. Effects compounded by inadequate governance. Even if multilateralism remains valid, features no consensus can be reformed. There's a long demanding process, requires unanimity. Countries are diverging interests on preventing necessary adaptations. Reason for dissatisfaction is in its unbalanced nature. Cut the card there. 2, they have red cards. They'll be over disputes over SEPs now, but not that conflict over SEP is end all be all for trade. 3, trade's resilient and doesn't escalate. Evidence is IP specific. Zango 4. The U.S.-China IP negotiators failed to make good on threats despite efforts on U.S. IPR industries to penalize China. Importers and retailers make the argument that they would suffer if restrictions were placed on constraining ITPR industries from escalating to trade war. Institutional qualities of states not relevant to trade bargaining outcomes. Cut the card there. 4, public interest is rare. No evidence on SEP public interest exceptions either. Trade won't escalate. Yonan 24. Decreased number of complaints did not appear to impact public interest. Low percentage of public interest, 14%. Not favorable for respondents. And 5, no violation. Now their evidence is about future ITC rule changes, which may never happen. 6, US not key, not 18. Second challenge, skip that. I'll go to 9. Trump tariffs and trade policies mess up global trade, independently lead to trade wars. Worded 226. Trump vision includes phase rollout for universal tariffs on all U.S. imports. Increased cost. Trump policies will be inflationary. Businesses pass costs to consumers. Trading partners impose counter tariffs, targeting U.S. AG energy machinery, escalated to worldwide trade war. Cut the card there. 10, SDO injunctions hurt innovation. Carrier 22. Bar test fine injunctions have allowed patentee to obtain grossly excessive, no longer bears any relationship to economic value of the patent. Cut the card there. 11, ITC action is a trade barrier. Bar 10. ITC source of criticism for foreign trading partners on trade barrier. Canada, EU brought cases against the U.S. international trade chain. The ITC domestic industrial mass protectionism. Cut the card there. Advantage 2, 1, reject all their evidence about standards about global standards, not SEPs. 2, the only thing, internal link from slogan to populism, no matter how populism spills up the scenarios, not terminal. 3, Rubini's laundry list with no terminals, and they can reverse casually solve for growth in other countries, including Russia and China. Rubini is also vague in his paper with no data citations. He goes on to topics about extreme short-term freak science, nuclear fusion, and the Spanish flu. Rubini is not writing a fully qualified paper. 6. Status quo solves point 22. If agencies withdraw 2019 statement, AIPLA recommends agencies decline to issue a new policy statement, which is unnecessary given court providing clear guidance. 7, all causes to SEP negotiation vary. 22. Knowledge on patents being licensed solved in an ETSI context, and FRAND was not something that courts should do, remaining with other standards today. Cut the card there, and that's time. Cross.
Wait, can we ask a question first?
Okay.
Okay, on politics, what's weak IP and what's strong IP?
Which card?
Your 2 link card group to 21 and Barnett 21. What's weak IP?
Weak IP rights. So if you're like.
So what is that? What's weak IP?
Okay, weak IP is basically IP, like the current IP and like the status quo, which you guys are saying.
Okay, so are we weak IP or strong IP? No, like, is the app weak IP or strong IP?
That's weak IP.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so the 1NC has said that the plan is unpopular, but it also gets a ton of stakeholders to negotiate over the plan. So how do we know that those stakeholders that think the plan is unpopular will just like make sure the plan never happens with direct neg? Yeah, you said the regulation is unpopular and that people think it's unpopular. So you get stakeholders, and then those stakeholders might think it's unpopular because you just said that. And then how do you know that they'll actually pass the plan in the regulation then?
Where did we say the plan?
If the plan's fiated, that's, we just.
Wait, where did we say the plan, where did we say the CP was unpopular?
On politics.
That was their plan.
You said the plan is unpopular.
Yeah.
If the counter plan gets those unpopular people to negotiate over the plan, well, what will happen if like those people who think the plan is unpopular, like why won't they just like say, I don't want this plan?
And then the regulation never passes the plan, and then the plan, and then all the bad stuff happens. So how does the counter plan solve in that world?
The counter plan, doesn't stop, actually, no, it stops shutdown by passing this bill, so it's, plan causes big tech, big tech to stamp down on IP, which causes a shutdown, and counter plan avoids that.
So do you fiat the regulation would just like let the plan happen?
We just, no.
There's gonna be a carbon in the 2 and C which says that regneg is less political, so if you run the plan through regneg, it's less political, and that's why it's better.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
We have 40 seconds. Anything else?
About status?
Conditional.
Question. What is political capital?
When a senator, member of office, like, when any member of the Congress has, like,
It's basically the amount of control that a person has over the government to like get their way by twisting their hands around stuff. Like, so for example, like if you wanna pass an unpopular plan, they can expend their political capital for that, and that's time.
We'll take, you want prep? Okay, running, let me put a, running prep starting now. stopping at 4.
Alright.
I'm sending it up.
Wait, stopping at 4, but
We have 3:29.
Oh, that's started late. We can call it 3:30? That's fine also.
Okay.
My bad, might have started late. My bad. Sending?
Yeah.
We know what it is or not? Fine, I won't put it for you.
Wait, you said
Okay, so we're doing standards, then regneg, then anthro, then shutdown, and then trade.
Okay. Standards,
Wait, say that
Begnic,
again?
standards, Begnic, anthropolitics.
And then trade.
The what?
Alright, could you repeat that one more time?
Alright, it is standards, regneg, anthropolitics, trade. Okay. Wait, I must do it right.
okay. You sent it? Yeah, I got it. So can I start? Yeah.
On standards, yes, no growth impact growth solves every existential risk like warming, pandemics, war, inequality, etc. by increasing resource decline cause hospitals to Rubini. Want to see one? They just say it's in the global context, but don't explain what evidence specifically. Every single standard card talks about the ITC, which is the US body. It can spill over globally, but that's different than the evidence itself being global. Want to see two? Populism is only one of the internals or more. Average still climate, etc. Growth is enough to solve. Want to see three is wrong. They're trying to point out issues with the impacts of Rubini. However, the point is a war in which how Soviets cause a protectionism that causes revision powers to lash out. That's uncontested. Want to see six? The evidence is 3 years old. It's some type of inherency argument, but that's wrong because the 2019 statement itself is key. The plan is key to set precedent. That's the solvency evidence in the 1AC. And on 1C7, that's wrong as well. Their own price evidence says the SCPs are 30% of the economy. That's massive. On Regnite, 1 perm do both, 2 perm do counterplan, 3 perm do plan of the counterplan for another issue. Counterplans must compete textually and functionally. That's key to research in Afghan. 4 can't solve trade. A independence. Regnite rest the ITC independence, which is key to solve protection. That's Oaken standard. Meyer B polarization. Regnite force the ITC do the plan politicizes the ITC. Polarization means we don't solve standards as 1C. Varney 5 can't solve standards. A predictability. Regnite is convoluted, unpredictable hurt standards as 1C. Taylor. B modification. Inherency proves legal interpretation. Industry opinions the plan are vastly diverse. That means the outcome goes modified. Any specification of good faith, rest predictability. That's also 1C. Taylor 6. Regnite over complex issue with many stakeholders like the plan backfire COVID-19. Regnite where neither feasible nor necessary for many rules and criteria from well-developed principle mediation research. Listen by the parties should not go to long mutual clearly not work on audit from full of people. 7 double bind either past EPA regulations or current DOE regulations should solve that benefit or there's no spillover COVID-19. Negotiate rulemaking. Lawyers notes that decline of use of trips to the mass of the ACUS and the budget's opposition. And the Regnite lies skepticism by scholars and Christians of Falcon combined to a perfect storm without robust several fronts and strong booster Congress. Whatever's potential negotiation rulemaking can deliver role best. 8 delay. Consult with stakeholders takes time. Immediately see with specification on the document. Now any virtual and trigger effects. That's Oka 9. Say no deficit on COVID is 17. Pitfalls overlook consensus focus on retractable issues when negotiations are underway. The past never result in agreement consensus push less important problems consensus in error. Reflects agreement the lowest common denominator effect where no matter what is acceptable the most subject to industry will not likely agree enough with a dramatic decision. Neither action not party will try to claim a positive decision. 60% of the participants dissatisfied expectation unfulfilled. 10 reject process counterplays and move to 1AC and impossible to generate deficits again. Killing fairness and clash. 11 corners of voter. 8 strats you multiple skew the act discourage often make double change counterplays. No risk can be research. Proliferate shallow no cost position with research. This must stop. We can set no one real world without printer theory on that benefit. A doesn't specify what safety regulation. B international development is inevitable. C no evidence and rulemaking will be Regnite. D regulation destroys AI control by driving it underground, abroad, or to higher areas. Walking 21. Regs drive research underground is hard to monitor or flag a community actually skip that car whatever. Evil AGI won't happen. They can develop independent motives. Muller 24. General intelligence contains a massive oversight. Human cognition is rooted in life. The human imperative for survival and reproduction at present. Human intelligence with objectives. Computers not like more human power and language. More data will not make them living beings. Computers they must be told what objectives to pursue. Try to pursue that general intelligence is an oxymoron. F. Chevron overturn also plus Reagan or Ross 24. By the Harris administration has already instituted new rules made through negotiation rulemaking process allow the agency to modify regulation past the Congress. Supreme Court's recent overturning of the Chevron and puts many regulatory changes down, including the new rule on anthro. One framework framework where the desirability of plans beyond application, anything else moves to one which goes variance to clash. The case response to sovereignty unique against links to a plan, prior question regressive, unpredictable, and make generating offense impossible. Consequence are key to discussion and perhaps portable skills. Prior questions devolves debates and perennial genetic chaos, making union possible value reforms. 2 perm do both. 3 perm do the half with the mindset of the all. 4 no link. A no part of the one is used anthropocentric SB disputes are being human entities and evidence just a link of division. B the K12 as draws 22. Framing debates in terms of post might not be the most homogeneous and violent. Making specificities of human abstract constructs. So what it is, anthropocentric as a scapegoat, present, risk, and ambiguous, anti-anthropocentric, erase located human perspective of discourse, applying universal without consideration, reproducing previous bias, environments that come to Africa like colonialism, environmentally counterproductive, non-anthropocentric strategies impose a view of nature incompatible with the view of many attempts to rationalize anthropomorph, institutes anthropocentric attempts to go beyond following with some fantasy of omnipotence, assuming that we can know the will and from a human perspective. We need more nuance that permits compromise, flexibility, and pluralism about to identify while others should be included. Accomplish some rules to understand diversity, human nature, transparency, and dialogue are central. 5. Extinction outweighs it's irreversible and precludes future value of lives. 6. Not a single word of the K makes sense. Angus 21. Anthropocentrism is not the problem. Ecocentrism is not the solution. In the first place, all the participants in the debate are human beings offering human judgments about human actions. Human cannot think like man because man do not think. Ecocentric ethics can only be created by humans. No one suggests that bears be persuaded, except that rabbits have a moral life to live. Only humans can make such judgments. Humans can only be anthropocentric. Humans are not separate from nature. I'll cut the card there. 7. Attacks that anthropocentrism still define what's a good nature or bad nature in relation to humans, involving analysis of a construction subjectivity and reinforcing by political control over non-humans and recondoms that try to solve. This is like 92. The more we emphasize the break the anthropocentrism, the more this totality of nature perceived and implicit away from the standpoint of human interests. There's no purely national equilibrium, such as ecological oriented determinant. Already locked technological subordination nature demand that postmodern returns to trans-subjective roots remains within the confines of modern subjectivity, the very remedy against the ecological catastrophe regenerative alleged case. 8. Delayed just by the time that we completely restructure IP, the aspect has already happened. 9. All failed. A. Rejected subject to cracked and business opposition. B. Case turned to all classes of IP system, which ensures extinction of short term. C. No spillover. Individual rounds can shape our subjectivity. All classes like school, family, pressure, religion, dump. One round feels ignited movement since rounds happen simultaneously. We realize outside debate, division, always do not believe in. 10. The all must be limited to public domestic actor. Anything else in voting issue is possible to predict doesn't lodge in gay US issue should. 11. Floating pace and voting issue unpredictable moves the case and evades clash. CRISPR solves animal suffering. Actually, skip that card, go to politics. 1. Pass regardless, fracking 3. 7. Republicans approve the government funding on ownership going it alone. Dare Democrats are opposed and risk being blamed if government showing the strategy in the back and front, which on ability to hold Republicans. That's because the bill Donald Trump said, Rap and Norman. And then voted 15 resolutions on war. Norman said, what's the alternative? Negotiate Democrats. No. To no link. A. Congress made the ITC independent, insulate itself from political back. ITC structure not partner with ITC. B. Policymakers are woefully unaware of ITC action. That's Jenks. C. ITC rules and passes orders all the time. Deny the link or make it inevitable. That's 1 is the ITC. D. SCP is only 2% all passes. That's Goberti. 3. The links inevitable. Trump passes tons of pan policy. Big the plan. That's Renner. 4. PC's fake. Wallman 20. So why can we believe the Republican strategy is done before the valence director, the ACA report on the policy make a problem, both the parties polarize that PC has become meaningless by this agenda. Whatever you can do, you should do. And for the policy making, if I would have spent PC rebuild the case 724. The more yes, the more you have, it's not like finding reach, so more political cap to do even more prices think danger not doing that. 6. Global fiat solve. 7. Passion on stuff that impact was 24. They're trying to 18 reduce the GDP growth at 0.1% in the fourth quarter. It will eventually recover GDP is 0.02% lower. That means military readiness is not an existential impact. And it's like all bluff. There's no wars in cars that can actually happen. Now go into trade 1C1. Well, that's the stable AM majority world trade is continuous W2 rules and box there for reference. 1C2, yes, we did read evidence. That's the link chain extend the trade. A decoupling, we've already did that. And the release specifically says that multilateral trade is key. On 1C3, the average baby space of IP bars is to SCPs, W2 SCP violation causes of trade work is earned 17. Doesn't push disputes outside of boundaries. 1C4, the public interest doesn't matter because the public in general is passed. I was trying to get passed. There's change importance of past SCPs. A link chain proves. 1C5, the ITC is needless to ask code of primary act on enforcing SCP exclusion orders. It's a key actor ensure an injunction. That means the ITC itself is key, and 1C5 is responded to that. 1C6, Trump tariffs does not kill trade because Islam says that ITC and Congress check these tariffs, and it's an empty threat to force concession gives in 213. Tariff acts with trade negotiation, probable government itself provide concession Trump in order to prevent reciprocal tariffs from being imposed. 1C7, Epstein disproves that profits increase the SCP industry with injunctions, and 1C8, evidence refers to a random study from the 90s, and it says the EU brought case in the ITC regarding free trade, but never says the ITC passed a ruling to hinder trade.
Yeah, cross.
Reason to reject the T.
Condo, just condo.
Just condo? Okay.
Well, that's the only reason rejected.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see. The private fiat actor and floating picks. No. Alright. Okay. Yeah, Addie.
Okay, so the independence deficit, I guess, why doesn't Trump's policies thump ITC independence?
Well, there's no evidence specifically read that Trump wrecks the ITC. Like, there's just like stuff about tariffs which we already talked about. But like the ITC is still an independent body, like outside of Trump's control, I guess. Yeah, I'm good.
What's the first name of your Epstein evidence?
What?
What's
Alright.
the first name of
Okay,
your
next
Epstein
question.
evidence?
Oh yeah, Eddie.
Can you answer my question, please?
No, I can.
Okay, I guess, so, the complex issue stuff,
Yeah.
if everybody knows about the plan, that's what you said on the modification deficit, why is it a complex issue?
Okay, well, a complex issue doesn't. Okay, just because someone knows about an issue doesn't mean it's not
I
complex.
guess, why is it a complex issue?
Okay, because it has like a lot of specific mechanisms like that. Basically, it's something that's not well understood by people. That's our Jenks evidence as well. So if it's not well
The
understood,
modification deficit says, inherency proves legal interpretations and industry opinions of the plan are vast and diverse. If like the industry knows what it is, why is it like?
well, the industry knows about the plan but doesn't quite understand it. That's why it's like a complex issue, I guess.
Sure.
Okay, I do.
How does how is the ITC's independence wrecked if it's like using stakeholders from the same agency?
Well, what we're saying is like Regnex is a process separate of what the ITC already has. So if you add that process to what the ITC currently can do, that wrecks the ITC's independence to act on like issues by itself without additional stakeholders, I guess. Yeah. Laura.
But if the net doesn't work, then how would you implement it?
If what?
If like, if really right there would wreck ITC independence, then how would you implement from your work without like making chaos?
It's just a way to test the competition with the counter plan, I guess. Yeah, I'm good.
Is the plan good for Indian people?
The plan is good.
It's good for
Yeah,
all
Eddie.
people.
Where are the firm texts for firm other issues?
Or any other person?
We'll send them out right now.
Are you take prep for that?
I'll send them out during cross.
There's no way it hasn't been. Alright, I have a feeling that's cross. Okay, yeah, Eddie.
I guess, why does Chevron apply to RegNeg?
Well, the one in C said like Chevron
No,
overturn.
why does the overturn apply?
Oh, like you mean to AI?
Yeah.
Okay, because what we're saying is like by overturning Chevron, that creates uncertainty for his regulatory changes, and our evidence says that AI is one of them. All right, now that's definitely cross.
No prep. You want to prep or no? Not really. Huh? You want to prep?
Yes, please. Actually, yeah, take your prep test in there before.
Damn.
Can you start the prep time?
Oh, also, could you send that card you read on Trump?
No worries, I'll do it right now.
The one card? Oh. Sable.
It should be sent about now. One second. Yeah, I sent it. That was like, let's say, 20 seconds.
Okay.
You're at 3 10. You 2 and C sent.
Order?
Okay, orders back neck. Everyone good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Time starts. Now, the campus also gives orders breaking over the plank of being relevant stakeholders and implementing actions design law that's Corbin. Consulting stakeholders best of SCP Civil 22. Approved for subcontext study if you consider drafting and choosing problematic positions, limiting injunctive relief that corresponding as if any abuse standards with the and without intent is good citizen behavior that motivate implementation. The license award should be pounced on on stage with various schools and careful consideration of principles arising that award departure call the question consistency and predictability of agency policy position. 2 frames sufficient the campus good enough even time better compare campus all the values that go not apply no implementation fear after the ability to implement law but cannot fear implementation because normally argument how to plan to implement asking fear of politics pending all government links. So also these often weigh benefits against blatant policy deficits. One alternative current notice of common procedures brought by parties taking extreme positions, setting by state and leaking the plan, all with charges and limitation. The regulates also the most rigorous study to date concludes regulations better in every single category that's current. Legitimacy, the feeling of negotiation alone solves coping 10. Negotiation building the legitimacy affecting participants see final regulation more example because cognitive dissonance satisfaction with negotiations, social psychologists indicate process enhances legitimacy independently of outcomes. 3. Compliance, the current procedures lead to litigation harder to gain. Even if the agency experts choose widely traditional model has very little buy-in from outside the agency with armed effectiveness and it encourages adversarial behavior and leads to protracted litigation. Misaligned AI outweighs and makes infinite human suffering inevitable by using humans as lead to advanced resource acquisition, suffering outweighs extinction and indefinitely negative life support than no life reject cognitive bias, strongly biased to believe that the future will be possible because often it's a bias which offers severity and negative events. That's all this. Lower means court will gut normal ITC rulemaking under section 57, good bracket 24. In Supreme Court Federal Circuit relying on Chapter determined IT's bar interpretation section 57 was reasonable and anticipation of lower Google petition for a rehearing. Circuit will consider this and any future challenges to ITC interpretation that could limit what cases could be brought to the ITC. Canada needs to A regulation rules number 24 and 24 that regulation creates that's necessary to pass court scrutiny under Loper. This violation is federal rulemaking and trips AR regs. On textual and functional competition, don't mixing textual competition leads to vague with plan language to delete all CPCs eliminates in the case that makes the gold standard debate and leads to word picks with textual and functional competition like future multi-line language picks. 2C1 was permitted both, still linked to notes of combat people low best, but 2 mutually exclusive can both start good faith binding negotiations over law and pass same law for negotiation conclude. Contradiction impacts all triggers return on that benefit. Way 24. Court has 40-year precedent to defer agency. The agency will likely fit for grave more litigation. This leads to contradictory regulatory requirements and making rulemaking less predictable and cost less efficient. This creates uncertainty for stakeholders determining how to comply, result in delayed rulemaking and air will still need reg and guardrails and Loper will delay. 2AC2 was perm to CP. Perm severs certainty. OED 89 says free from uncertainty. CP is uncertainty. Freeman no O. Committees do not consider issues rigid predetermined discussions take a life on their own and in regnate. Certainty bans ground stepping with statistics is always condition idea links and moves CP competition because perm to CP doesn't start with uncertainty. Those forces outside certainty warmers limit planet as to coordinate the F3 fair and away from party power as they also flow across them to give a resolution that guidance memos or dicta. Defense can withstand no or modification uncertainty or delayed or one of the other dozen or so solving deaths to regnate through itself has been running beautiful for decades. 2C2 is perm other issues. Reject functioning to the perm case regulating unbounded non-functionally implied or CP text boosts all CPs because we always solve net benefit in other ways. Also boosts can say no or other issues because no comparative issue defended. 2C counterplay blanket add-on do the CP and part of the perm that regnate generally better than perm because regnates more. Perm can solve classified contradiction deficit from do both because regnate broadly includes the plan. 4 perm that means A known for sharing hard 82. Negotiations must be ripe if it has not yet crystallized sufficiently to prevent a solution. It should not be ready because the info is not insufficient and subject matters on negotiation need to be concrete. No negotiation hard 82 furthers that if issues cannot be resolved through reg citing is vague, the situation resembles a debate over religion, the party is unable to agree. There's no impact to any of the deficits in the debate. The 1AC never explicitly states extinction, and the deficits don't matter because they don't affect the plan solving it, and if the plan doesn't solve it, in fact, there's really no point. Cost applied to all the deficits are often outweighs cost applied solves the often from above. No link notes to warrant that these deficits will occur speculative in reckoning, and no evidence that they do make an warrant, new warrant, we get new answers into an R. 4. Trump thumbs cost applied right 3-6 and Reuters 2-6, and 5. Obama thumbs in 2013. Obama overturned the ITC decision and did the exact opposite of what the ITC wanted. Proves no impact. On 2AC4, it was an independent deficit. The reckoning of the CP does not change the actors involved in the CP. What reckoning does in status quo notice common is bad because so many different fields that make it impossible to come to central reason and thus impossible to pass policy. Reckoning is solved by urging parties to come together to form a consensus and does not change the actors involved in the plan. 2AC4 because of politicization deficit. First of all, reckoning is less predictable. That's case 14. Normal regulation triggers political fights, but reckoning shields the president from blame. Federal regulation continues to be deficit in highly politicized climate issues that are practiced by ideological battle, and EPA has become the political lightning rod and symbol of excessive regulation. CNC should give way to next generation, and alternative should give more flexible framework that will increase protection and cut the card there. 2AC5B was the modification deficit. No modification deficit inevitable. They only fit the short plan text. All other implementation details will be massively modified. Agencies itself they have considerable weight and stakeholders. That's freedom decay. They didn't give the agency played a powerful reading negotiating. Respondents frequently cited agency as source of substantive issues and suggesting agency experts considerable authority. Proves our options modification. Proves the plan gets won by litigation. That's harder. 2AC6 was regulating over complex issue fails and. First of all, the COVID-19 court mentions that negotiations are unnecessary for many rules, but what it's really unnecessary for is that when there's little controversy over these rules. And we know there's already a lot of controversy with the ITC as it's been supporting the US through the turns on case and also in the fact that Trump would want to get rid of the ITC. It's literally stuck in the middle of nowhere. The fact that this relates to politics and people have different opinions on it, it proves that the ITC is not complex. 2AC7 was a double bind. Past techniques couldn't solve, and there is no double bind because AI was in an infantile state where it was almost useless, but now AI has grown exponentially and accomplishing what we thought as was impossible. And yes, spillover. Spillover has created a new opportunity for precedent setting that spans for 2 time for future rankings or 2 rare misaligned A coming out, Russell 19. Long-term risk could cause immediate concern. The right to worry depends on how long it will take to implement a solution. We are already devoting research to more capable AI with little thought of how to succeed. Analogy would be to move to more with no consideration for what we might read. Other instances failed either too old or too relevant. The other only depends on speech to actually impact AI. You see, it was a delayed estimate cost apply. Everything read on the AI and solvency net benefit. Delay is wrong. Consensus winning say yes, proves the plan is agreed upon. Fast stats and barely faster. Freeman decay. Empirical analysis of 35 negotiated rule game provided time-saving benefits compared to conventional rulemaking 2.8 versus 3 years. As is not immediate, fiat can't skip notice comma. Other techniques is immediate as well. They have no time-sensitive impact, and the signal of negotiation alone is sufficient. 2C9 is ranking fails, but cognitive research is significantly flawed. Freeman decay. Cognitive research is significantly flawed. This calculated start and end is improperly conducted abandoned. Ranking cuts the time by 32% of the data measured properly measured or rules challenged. Non-reflective consensus rule either evades departure some other for litigation. 2C10 counter the negative functional picks of solvency advocates specific to time. 2C solvency proves me. So also often only ranking court specific case picks meet the interest of the controversy and exclude tangible condition in their plan managed spending and sunset CPs. 2C12 has no specification, but we don't need specific regulations. The 1C Roseberry evidence is excellent at describing how Lombard specifically comes to the US government and just beginning to get its head around AI emerging as a tech new platform being believed the AI is enough. 2C12 deals with international development. The counterplans internet stakeholders include international stakeholders to grade 15. The NRA basically process the open innovation in introducing transnational corporations, sovereign foreign, as complex and well served by writing European regulators, welcome opportunity to participate in writing the US, and allow European regulators to have a say. Got the card there. 2C12C was no evidence of writing, but cross everything went on the AI and solvency net benefit. We also feel that the CP and the AI we're looking at will be writing as writing all the best. 2C12D regulation destroys AI. AI regulation actually solved. Government oversight prevents widespread misalignment. Agency foster interoperability. Rev 21. Crucial to regulate strong area before a disaster policymakers collaborate with researchers actively seek cooperation between stakeholders, experts, and researchers. 2C12E was evil AGI, but evil AGI is impossible. But one logicless misalignment is inevitable. Michaelas C22. There are primary reasons to believe that ASI will increase orthogonality. It says that there's no correlation between intelligent and beneficial goals. It is much easier to program AI to have a meaningless goal rather than a common goal, which says the AIs will goals such as resource acquisition. Skip the next card. 2C12 as Chevron overturn applies, but Regnick solves the Chevron overrule, hopes in 24. If court overturn Chevron expectation to judicial branch overrun lawsuits against all across federal government, imagine all the rules change. There's another opinion agency truth to more negotiable rulemaking under the agency performing of rules and formal negotiations against interested parties. And that's time. I'm open for cross.
Okay, so when you say a past regnix comes off as AI was an individual state, so does that mean like all those regnix were like done over AI? Like what is AI?
No, but the thing is that AI was an infantile state, and in the past we didn't expect it to become as powerful as it is today. So there was really no need to implement Regnick over the AI. But now, since we have like really like extreme AI with a ton of capabilities, it makes more sense to apply those Regnicks now.
Yeah, I'm good. Do you think scenario planning, debating fiat implications of hypothetical government actions is good for your own education?
Can you dumb that down?
Yeah, so do you think fiat's good?
Fiat's good. Depends. Like for example, we don't give the app implementation fiat because again, fiat or politics can all government spending links. But then again, yeah.
But then it can't. But then you can lose the rollback, right?
Do you think they know what that is?
Do you know what that is?
No. So it doesn't matter really, does it? Okay, Tilly, go.
So you said that noticing comment is bad, right? But won't that wreck popularity because the public would rather have a noticing comment system than just stakeholders?
No, but like technically, if noticing comment is bad, the public would hate it, right? Why would the public like something that's bad?
No, but noticing comment uses the word opinion, right? So.
Yeah, but like if people hate noticing comment, guess what?
Okay. Does the public understand Regnick?
I mean, it only has to apply to the stakeholders because then those are the people that are actually being implemented in the plan, right?
Okay. So all the stakeholders understand Regnick.
Yes. It's really not that simple. You just put people in a room and they talk. It's not that complicated.
Okay, what happens if people disagree?
They say no. We have cards to say why they say yes.
So you're saying in every instance they'll agree. Like they'll never disagree.
I never disagree once, but like 99%.
Okay, so what happens in that 1% when they disagree?
Okay, first of all, the 1%, you have to think of it like this. Like 1% doesn't mean like everybody in one Regnick doesn't come, right? Because based on your interpretation of 1%, you're basically saying that out of all the regnegs that could ever be there, one whole regneg would say like one group of regneg people would say no, like all of them would say no.
What do you mean
But we're
group?
saying is that that's not possible.
What do you mean group of regneg people? Are there
Like because
multiple
regneg is
groups of
where you
regneg
basically
people?
get a group of people, right?
Uh-huh.
So if there's no chance that everybody in the group says no,
No, I'm not saying everyone says no. What if one person says no?
it's one person. They're like a good amount of stakeholders.
Okay, alright.
Wait, so the writing to pass doesn't require consensus?
No, it does. It's
So then what if one person says no? So,
no. What he's talking about is they say no to show up.
no, he's,
Alright, fine. You can answer.
Okay, go.
Do you respond to condo? Do you think the regneck could be compared to the palaver?
Yeah. That's actually what comes from trust. That's fine.
I appreciate your answer.
I think I could answer one of these questions.
How much time do we have?
Well, you know
Is that full time? I need like 2 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll be
Okay,
taking.
no, wedding prep,
Palaver
wedding
ban
prep
card.
starting now.
Of course, I have common. Okay, I'm done. Yeah. 7:27 remaining. Okay, stopping prep, 7:27 remaining.
Order.
Order. Regneg, Anthro, Condo, case, politics.
You think all this 5 minutes?
Oh, you finished Regneg? Okay, no Regneg. Anthro, Condo, case, politics.
case is what order?
Trade standards.
Any card?
I'll be, yes, cards, I'll be sending the doc.
And for the condo case, right?
Yeah.
No right now.
No, right, okay.
Alright, send the doc.
Okay, this is the second opener.
Okay, thank you. It's, well, Shreyas and Josh.
To confirm, condo and throw trade standard politics.
Wait a sec. Condo, Anthro, trade standards, politics, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
It is.
Bro, you didn't.
Oh, I didn't change the title. My bad.
It's a right now, right?
Are you sure?
Yes, it's the right dog. On God is the right dog.
We're good whenever you are.
Wait, alright.
No, this is the right dog.
This isn't.
Alright, Shlok, start prep.
Okay, we're gonna start
No, yeah,
prep.
just one prep, bro. I can care less.
Can you
I'm
Alright.
starting in now.
Okay,
Okay, go.
no, send the doc. It's, I didn't say the name. Alright, yeah, it's right.
That was 20 more.
It's the right one.
Good job. Did you send it?
Yeah, send.
So 20 more seconds. So 7:17, I believe.
Yeah. That's fine. You guys have it?
Oh yeah. You got it? Also good.
Okay, yeah, you guys don't need the order again? You're good? Okay. Time starts Now, first on Anthro, we kick Anthro concedes that alt fails. No part of the 1AC or plan is anthropocentric. Private after alt doesn't work since alt fails. We don't fiat the alt. Also, Anthro doesn't pick out of anything. It's simply a link to the plan, which is now conceded. Reject these two reasons to reject the team. They are voters. Now on Condo. Condo good, we get what we did. One, neg flex provides neg low-cost options and check outside bias given first and last speeches, infinite prep collapsing onto 1, 2 AC argument, 2, education, A, research, more world means wider variety of live. Brett outweighs step, debaters grow into plethora of future careers we can't specialize now. Race the top forces, best answers, better 1 AC, crowd house, bad theory, intrinsic permanent contrive, solvency deficit, strategies, strategic cost, have saved 2 AC times and pivot large parts of the debate. K education, Condo key to ensure case run and extended by policy debaters. 3, diminishing returns, counterplans, loose and similar deficits, good competition, debating, checks abuse on case. Trade 1, ITC itself is a trade very causing their own impacts. That's bar 10. If standards outweighs politics, that's fine because we can see that with their trade winning that our trade turn single-handedly wins this debate. Before you consider anything else, consider this. 2, good faith is vague, causes over-enforcement impossible to meet the threshold of good faith. So SCP owners will leave the market turning to case. And our evidence is from qualified officials specific to good faith standards. 3, negotiations failed, they're void of context, and other countries are advancing protectionism and neglect favor domestic politics. Dispute settlements, the U.S. has refused to appoint judges as dispute settlement appellate body, that's Bloomberg. WTO is dead from Trump, Nelson 24, most protectionist trade policy has nearly a century from Trump will raise tariffs, probably at least 60% tariffs on all imports from China. Congress clearly moved more protectionist direction, and proposals to eliminate WTO benefits, a variety of legal tools, Section 301, Section 232, IEEPA, and variety of motivations Trump has expressed, cut the card there. 4, the WTO dispute mechanism is broken, bound in clause 23. WTO dispute is not working, it can appeal to dispute in limbo. Partners may not stop using WTO settlement and stop acting unilaterally, could spiral, risking trade wars. Cut there. 5, Trump will start a trade war. Lackman 24, Trump presidency characterized by antipathy to trade, showed contempt for WTO, unilaterally imposed tariffs. Trump will increase tariffs 200%, inviting trade partners to retaliate, lead us to beggar my neighbor trade policies of the 30s. Cross-applies Trump thumbs and Obama thumbs from 2 and C. Extend 1 and C, 10 and 11 ITCs, SCPs hurt innovation and trade barrier, prevents trade, causes their impact. Prefer our card because qualified authors and recency and carrier 22 card. On standards, status quo solves uncertainty in the event that ITC overturns the 2019 policy statements. SCOTUS and the federal circuits have guidelines on what to do. Evidence is about specific to SCPs and FRANT. That's the coin evidence. Extend 1 and C3. They didn't address Rubini, not laundry list, only saying that it's a productivity growth link. I also said Rubini isn't qualified, going off on random tangents that aren't part of the topic. Rubini doesn't cite sources. The meaning his card could simply be written by a person writing for leisure, not actually for real analysis. Extend 1 and C number 4. 1, standards are not key to productivity growth. Price 15 says that other factors including education, training, tech advances, and innovation large contribute to productivity growth, not just standards alone. 2, productivity growth is high for other reasons. Party 24, U.S. labor productivity enjoyed a period of renewed growth, interrupting decline. 2.7% nearly matches in a surge in 1990s. Advances in Gen AI dominate productivity trends, and renewed surge in new business creations 2020, reversing decades of declining business dynamicism. No slow growth, inevitably slow growth is caused by declining fertility rate. Transition to service economy is inevitable in all developed economies and heartless. That's bullcrap. On politics, a bill to avert shutdown passes now. Congress is motivated now, but any controversy. Brexit 2, top line agreements are being finalized. Schultz 3.5, appropriators finalizing bipartisan agreement to avoid shutdown. Agreement on appropriators for top line since the plan works. 3, GOP holdouts are being reversed. Wu 3.5, Trump made progress convincing GOP holdouts ahead of shutdown deadline. Burleson is now opening to support key members. Believe other holdouts will get on board. Democrats are at the table to bargain. Senator Murray 3.4, and I've been at the table this entire time to pass bills and ensure Congress decides what to get funded. We'll actually have a job to do. Support communities confident that we can pass CR immediately. They say SCP's 2% of patents double down. Either they don't solve their own advantages, or they don't meet politics and redneck. No thumbers 1. Unionist says negotiations are happening now. Post states their evidence will cross-apply every unionist card that suggests the bill passes now. Skip the next card. On link, Johnson's key to hammer out differences. Tooley McManus 2.7, Johnson and hammers out differences. He's been laser focused, and top appropriators are trying to hash out an agreement for continues to present upbeat mood. They say fiat solves, but counterintuitive, they get minimal fiat necessary to pass the plan. Preferred ground 2AC spec is enforcement mechanisms by politics. Only DA on this topic. Fiat out of government K-links and justify extra T advantages, which make neg prep impossible. Reject the team for deterrence. They say winners win, but that's wrong. 1, time frame regeneration, post-implementation, sudden depletion of bipartisanism triggers the DA to partisanship. And winners can't win political climate, Supermanium 21, idea that begets winner asking too much, all kinds of legislation, far from it. Cut the card there. Skip the next card. Doesn't matter if trade solves war or standards solve every crisis. Politics prevent their advantages from even happening in the first place. Turns case presumption. Shutdown shuts the app down. No money, no workers, no vote. Neg on presumption. Buchanan.
You're way
95.
over. You know, 25 seconds.
I still have 11 seconds left.
Are you done?
Sure.
We'll see who was right when we look at the tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, right?
You're going to start.
And you put them starting.
No. $245. 25 seconds left for 2 do you have any cards? I have one card off the net right now.
Still.
It's gonna be, you want standard second or first? Okay, it's gonna be trade, it's gonna be standards, then it's gonna be regnate, then it's gonna be politics. The card should be sent. Being activated. Oh, yeah, that's real quick. Where's the one? It's fine, trust me. Everyone good? You guys good? Okay. It's gonna be trade, it's gonna be standards, it's gonna be reg, and it's gonna be politics. First on trade standing by multilateral trade collapse causing extinction, aggressive protectionist fight, geopolitical tensions, bringing nationalism, populism, bilateralism, causes leaders to arrest, make success, making sure that we're attracted, that makes unrestrained global draw on the netherlands, calling out west and trying for SPKs on the docket now, any virtual triggers are in fact that Johnson. First, go to the response first on the bar evidence, once again it sucks that they drop. What my partner said, I said about how it sucks because it's outdated, ITC dumps trade, just it's about like how the EU, about how the ITC was come to by the EU, however it never talks about an ITC decision actually being made. It just says that it was involved, but it never actually states a decision. The rest of the responses are all about Trump, but they drop all the evidence I read about like Gibson, and they also drop the Islam evidence about how Trump doesn't hurt multilateral trade. That's the one I see Islam evidence. Furthermore, Gibson also says that Trump doesn't hurt terrorists, both are dropped. Standards. Slower causes extinction, strong gives us resources stable for every essential threat like pandemics, climate, technology, inequality, national populism, independent decline, ensures diversion and conflict between refugees, France like Russia and China, which close nuclear turbine. Now, as I'm trying to frame SCP cases on the document, any version triggers are embedded, Johnson, the AFSOL, or evidence has political structural absence, standardization, or activates, passing FCMV boost to global economy by 70%. 1 school does not solve it, and called certainty, we base tendency evidence for why the plan is now key, it says presence, drop 1 seat really greenies in that is wrong, the author default doesn't matter because it's clear one side, the other side is the one, once again, I can see the problem from Morge concedes revision to Lasha 1C4 was never what the party court in all cause argument. The 2AC says it's wrong since SC said 30%, that's their own price argument, and it's uncontested. The 1C5, the Bora evidence is not in the 1C because they're inevitable wrongs and productivity growth solves. Right, first, Regnig's cookie doesn't work over complex issue. Staff is complex issue based entirely about it's entirely about in cross. They said Regnig is putting people in a room. They talk. What happens if people people in a room? Talk results in chaos. What does talking result in chaos? Regnig requires the consultation of every single stakeholder. They see ITC as controversy, but how ITC is independent. The USFG doesn't have controversy with the US. That's ITC 1. That's ITC 24 from the 1AC. They said there's only 4 commissions in ITC, but that's not about the ITC. It's about SPs, which are complex. There's only president at the USFG rules over a bunch of issues every day. Furthermore, SCPs are complex, that's wipeout. Standards can be complex, there are numerous SCPs that correspond to a particular standard. Some products may rely on parts of the standard to carry out certain function. Independence deficit. First, they say the 1AC never says extinction, but doesn't matter. The author says extinction in the evidence. Furthermore, implies nuke war, which then causes extinction. Furthermore, Regnick can't solve because their only argument is that Regnick is a cross-current plan. They explain what a cross-current plan is, but Regnick gives the last say to investors to enforce the plan, which forces the ITC's hand, destroying the ITC signal of a quasi-independence that can't solve either advantage. First, on trade, enables protectionism and rule breaking because the ITC decisions are not trusted and the US is perceived as unfair, causing trade war. Second, standards. SSL will be uncertain as to whether the ITC will be durably fair because ITC is product lobbying and rent seeking. That's Barney. Politics. Okay, fine. Where is that? Okay, next let's go to the net benefit. There's no net benefit. 1 thumb past EPA, recognizing current DOE or recognizing thumb second spillover. Recognizing cause doesn't justify more. And then rulemaking has a limited role at best. That's proven. And AGI has impossible. 1 capabilities computing with constraints, limit possibilities. Improvements can solve because limitations are structural. Second, this is limits are accepted by everyone in the field. Third, consciousness. AI has been effective in a focused environment to emulating human consciousness done with scientists for decades as gaming. Fourth, a distant dream that scenarios of scientific fiction. And they only read Macality 22, but that never mentions their signed AI. We've read warrants consistently. Politics. On uniqueness, we agree with all uniqueness elements. The bill is passed, however, passes independently of the plan's passage. It's breaking all one our uniqueness elements is not contested. You must assume the bill passes no matter what. All turns case passes. All of the turns case shutdown, worse now, etc., etc. All requires a shutdown to occur. Obviously, it doesn't since our evidence says the passage of the plan does not impact the passage of the shutdown bill. Then one in our does drop this solid 10 million warrants. Steerable fiat means a scenario that never happens. PC is fake. They drop the Jens Caberti and Brenner evidence, which means that there's no link or it's inevitable. The one in our extends Johnson PC, which is completely different than the weak strong IP. It doesn't extend the impact. There's nothing to vote on here. Let's quickly go back to the net benefit on Regnite. Read the corporate to distant dream that the scenario is fiction. Joshi 22. Patches may prevent development of AGI. AGI developers cannot design neural networks that recreate artificial consciousness from lab consciousness to abstract and asymmetrical to any frame machine to model it. And another issue is to have a halting problem. Every program will stop running eventually. They may have no solutions to possess the questions regarding long-term function of AGI tools. Humans incomparable. AI cannot generate consciousness. Every decision is backed by data scoring low reasoning. Overall, Regnig, the independence deficit, prevents any solvency, and the Regnig doesn't work over complex issues that explain why SP's complex issue. Deficit zeroed, yeah. I mean, this side zeroed, yeah.
We have
7:17 left. No, because we removed 20 seconds.
7:17. Starting. Friendly.
Solving PEP.
How much left?
Solve it.
Oh, it's a 2 and 1, bro.
Okay. Order is gonna be regneg, politics, then case.
Order of case?
Order case. Yeah, avenge when avenged. It's regneg, then politics, then advantage 1, advantage 2. Okay, is everyone ready?
The counterplan solves the case. It orders a regneg over the plan, convening relevant stakeholders and implementing the outcome of binding law that's current. Consulting stakeholders best solves SAPs because consultation with the group greatly increases its success. That is Sizzle 22. Once efficiency, the counterplan is good enough even if the plan is better. You compare counterplan solvency relative to the status quo, not the plan. Plus solvency is often, so you weigh benefits like legitimacy against solvency deficits. And one alternative, the current notice of common procedures of private parties taking extreme positions, setting biased data and litigating the plan, all which tarnish implementation. That the ranking solves. It's the most rigorous study to date. Includes the rankings are better in every category. That's carbon. Okay, then onto the onto the net benefit of AI. Okay, misaligned AI ways because it causes infinite human suffering enabled by using humans as slaves to advance resource acquisition. Suffering outweighs extinction, and indefinitely negative life is worse than no life. Reject cognitive biases. You're cognitively biased to believe that the future will be positive because of the optimistic bias, which overshoots the severity of negative events. The net benefit outweighs the case because we clearly outweigh on magnitude because, as we say, suffering outweighs extinction, and you should prioritize magnitude over time frame because you'd rather prevent yourself from you'd rather prevent a nuclear war than a paper cut with 100% chance of happening. Also, the case doesn't solve the net benefit, so even if you pass a plan, the net benefit causes the impact and happens. Also, they completely drop the fact that the impact will turn case. And that's Bregman 24, which says that Loper means court will gut normal ITC rulemaking under section 337 because the Federal Circuit relied on Chevron and Google petitioned for a rehearing, which basically means that the Federal Circuit will consider any future challenges to ITC's interpretation and limits what cases can be brought to the ITC. Extend the link that Regnick solves Loper. Counterplan leads to AI regulations, and Rosenberg 24 and Fancy 24 says that Regnick creates consensus necessary to survive court scrutiny under Loper. This revolutionizes rulemaking and ensures AI regs. First, they say the net benefits stumped by double bind in the past Regnick. So we already explained that in the 2NC, saying that in the past, AI was on an infantile state where we genuinely needed to put regulations on it, but now when you have AIs like ChatGPT, Claude, you really need these guardrails to prevent them from exploding. They also say that there's no spillover, but extend the 2NC, which says that yes, spillover because Loper's created new opportunity for present settings, and that's bandwidth. They say AGI is impossible, but it's possible. Framing, even if AGI is distant, regulations are necessary now to align development. Okay. Onto politics, Afghanistan of politics, counter-trip, the minimal PI necessary to master plan and shut down collapse and military readiness that outweighs. And extend that Bregnick is less political than the plan. So magnitude lack of military dominance escalates current world like Ukraine and Gaza and boldens nuclear attacks from revisionist powers, which case resource war and pandemics, etc. But U.S. military strength solved as Beckley. Time frame of shutdown is immediate. They don't even have a time frame. A ground truth specification of enforcement mechanisms by politics. The only day on this topic that out of government cablings and justify extra T advantage to make neg prep impossible. Reject the team for deterrence. They say we drop PC fake, but that doesn't mean politics doesn't work because big tech still will force shutdown, so ITC won't happen. It's a direct link. Doesn't matter if trade solves or standard solve every crisis, politics prevents their advantage from even happening in the first place. Turns case presumption is shut down such that ads down, no money, no workers, vote neg on presumption. It's common knowledge when the government shuts down the apps and get its advantage, this policy can be passed. Once ITC's proposed politics forces ITC and all their policies not to be implemented, even after proposals over SPF's plan won't happen, they still can't feel out of politics. On trade, the ITC itself is a trade barrier, causing their own impact. That's bar 10. Even if standards outweighs politics, that's fine because we can see the trade rate. Trade turns single-handedly wins debate. Before anything else, you consider this. If you actually drop how bar 10 is bad, that's fine, but they dropped their own carrier evidence, which is that STOs and junkets hurt innovation. A direct link turn, which causes their own impacts. And on to standards. Standards doesn't solve. They dropped in 2AC that Rumini is bad because it doesn't cite anything, and it's just a laundry list. Even if standards is good for the economy, that doesn't mean nothing because the productivity growth solves. 1C4 tops is saying standards don't link to productivity growth, so standards completely thumb. This means the plan has solved nothing. The slogans causes war, which standards can't even solve in the first place. You vote net because the app has no offense. The trade is thumbed by bar 10. Even if it's bad, trade is still thumbed by carrier 22. On standards, again, the plan solves nothing because Rubini evidence is bad and just a laundry list of what they didn't view. And you ultimately vote on regning, on magnitude, because it outweighs time frame. And also the fact that case can't solve means it's the biggest reason to go ask. Sorry, Ned.
Attention all students, please remember that the foyer is closed after school. As due at 4 o'clock, there is to be no more foyer use. Thank you.
Alright, 20 seconds. 25 seconds. 25 seconds starting. I'll give you shit. That's done.
Standards, Regnick,
Okay, wait, my bad. Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay. A kick trade, there's no offense on the sheet. The case turn doesn't matter because if we don't go for the advantage, then it doesn't matter if ITC's a code trade barrier. Now go for standards. Big one, the impact overview of top so because extinction struggle. Use a research table of every existential threat like pandemic, climate, technology, inequality, national and populism, independently decline, ensures that vision copy to revision path, the Russian time with new best Rubini. The app solves our evidence and slogan structure after standardization, app creates taxing F-team, so we boost the goal become over 70%. The 2EC goes to 2 arguments. First is Rubini that it's wrong. Again, author qualifications don't matter. We're talking about warrants here. It cites other studies, and the warrant is that slow growth causes populism. Populism spills up because it causes revisionist nations like Russia, China, North Korea, etc. to lash out. That escalates into war. And this 1C4 argument was never read in the 1NC, so it's like a phantom extension. Extension obviously outweighs net benefit and account by magnitude. So go on Regneg and continue the magnitude weighing here. A just impossible and fake. 1 capabilities. Computer constraints limits possibilities. Improvements can't solve because limitations are structural. 2 consensus. Limits are accepted by everyone in the field. 3 consciousness. It has been effective focused environment so Emily and human consciousness has some scientists for decades. 4 a halting problem. If that's in the Joshi evidence, it's an unsolvable problem. I mean, no algorithm can possibly solve. Inevitably, computer programs will stop running for certain inputs. That's a total of 4 warrants. All they have to offer in exchange is make least evidence. The only thing that talks to on AI is the tag, and it says it's supposedly inevitable. We're obviously in the evidence comparing here. Now go on suffering. That doesn't happen if there's no AGI, which we've shown. And while we're on the topic as well, GPT and Claude are not misaligned AI. Now go on to the other mechanisms of the counterplan. So this will solvency advocate. It doesn't mention any benefits to the SPPs. It talks about the benefits in negotiation as is other evidence. But that's obviously wrong for 3 warrants. A, janks. That means that stakeholders are woefully unaware of ITC action. B, 2NC cross-text checks. They don't know what happens if someone says no. C, the WPI card extension. It clearly says the standards and SPPs are complex because some products may rely on only certain parts of a standard. It's not well understood by the stakeholders. Next, the independence depth is fully dropped in the 2NR. They say Regnet can't solve, and their only argument is the process counter plan, and they explain what process counter plan is, but it gives the last state investment force the plan. 2 warrants, 1 trade. It enables protections and rule breaking, breaks the ICC's decision not trusted, and the use is perceived as unfair, causing trade wars. 2 standards. SSOs will be uncertain as to whether IT will be durably fair. The IT is probably lobbying and rancing as Barney. Going to politics, we agree with all unique evidence here. The 2NR also doesn't contest it. Fracking says the bill passes regardless of whether the plan passes. That means there is no shutdown, there is no turns case, or any of that, because the shutdown never happens. And durable fiat means that we get to bypass this mechanism. The 2AR extends new fiat interrupts that was never end, the 1AR or the 2NR extends new interrupts that would never end, the next block, and it also extends new impact extension. You must reject both, and so there's nothing to vote on here. In summary, basically what you're voting for, standards, there's the extinction impact practically at 100% because the Rubini index doesn't respond to it because it's conceded. 1C4 was never read. On regneg, AGI is limited because of 4 words we provide. There's no evidence comparison done here. That means there's no suffering either because AGI is impossible. And finally, the independence deficit and the regneg's failure to operate over complex issues means case must that way.
Can I talk now?